What do you do when your allies want to murder a pregnant woman? It was 1944. The British soldiers were ordered to let the French mob handle traitors. But when Sergeant Brennan saw a gun pointed at a girl about to give birth, he decided to break every rule in the book. This is the story of the baby born in a tank. Normandy, 9 August 1944. The wheat is gold and tall enough to hide a girl who is running for 2 lives. Élise Moreau, 19, 8.5 months pregnant. She stumbles barefoot through the rows. Her dress is soaked with sweat and fear. Her hands cradle the weight that slows every step. Behind her, the village square is already filling with people. People who used to wave when she passed with bread for her sick mother. Now they carry rifles, pitchforks, and a fury sharpened for months under occupation. Someone shouts her name like a curse. Someone else fires a warning shot that kicks dust at her heels. She does not look back. She only knows the baby has dropped lower with every contraction that started at dawn, and that the crowd wants justice before the child draws its first breath. In the center of Saint-Marc-sur-Mer, a tricolor flag flies again for the first time in 4 years, and beneath it a hand-painted sign has been nailed to the war memorial. Collabo horizontale, death to traitors. The crime: she let a German medical officer treat her dying mother, and in the loneliness of occupation, she let him hold her hand longer than medicine required. The sentence was decided the moment the first Canadian tank rolled past. Élise reaches the edge of the wheat field and collapses against an ancient apple tree. The next contraction folds her in half. She tastes blood where she has bitten her lip raw. Through tears she sees the crowd spill from the square. Maybe 60 people, faces she has known since childhood, now twisted into something unrecognizable. The men of the impromptu militia cock their rifles. The women who once shared ration cards now spit on the ground she walks on. A single thought loops in her mind, louder than the shouting. My baby will never know its mother's name. Then she hears engines, British engines, the low growl of a Bren carrier and 2 jeeps tearing up the lane in a cloud of white dust. 10 Tommies on a routine patrol who were never meant to be here. Sergeant Jack Rusty Brennan, 31, Liverpool docker, red hair, freckles, heart like a cathedral door. He stands in the carrier's turret. He sees the girl on her knees. He sees the mob closing the last 50 yards, and the world narrows to 1 heartbeat. He does not yet know her story. He only knows what happens next if he does nothing. The Bren carrier skids sideways, blocking the lane like a steel wall. Rusty Brennan leaps down before it stops moving, Sten gun across his chest, but not raised, palms open the way you calm a spooked horse. Hold your fire! Britain Army! Everybody stand where you are! His scout's accent cuts through the French shouting like a foghorn. The mob slows, uncertain. These are not the Germans they have been waiting 4 years to kill. These are liberators, and liberators complicate revenge. The leader of the milice, a thick-set farmer named Henry, whose son was shot by the Germans last winter, steps forward, rifle still leveled at Élise. This is French business, Sergeant. She slept with a Boche. The child is Boche. Step aside. Rusty does not step aside. He plants himself between the rifles and the girl who is now sobbing into the dirt. I said stand down. That's an order. Henry laughs, bitter. You do not give orders here anymore. Behind Rusty, his section fans out. 9 men and 1 carrier-mounted Bren gun that suddenly looks very persuasive. Private Davies, 20, Welsh, usually quiet, chambers around loud enough for the front row to hear it. The click echoes like a judge's gavel. Élise tries to stand, fails, both hands clutching her belly as another contraction rips through her. Rusty sees the blood on her thighs and feels something cold settle in his gut. He turns to the crowd, voice calm now, almost gentle. She's having the baby right now. You want to shoot a woman in labor in front of British soldiers. Be my guest, but you'll do it over our bodies, and you'll explain it to London tomorrow. A murmur ripples through the crowd. Some lower their weapons. Others do not. An old woman near the front spits at Elise's feet. She lay with the enemy while our boys died. Rusty's Corporal Mick Thompson, 33 London cabbie, steps beside his sergeant. Love, my sister married a German prisoner in 18. We didn't shoot her. We had tea. A nervous laugh escapes someone. The tension frays but does not break. Elise's water breaks with a soft rush that darkens the earth. She screams, a sound that belongs to every mother who ever lived. Rusty makes the decision in the space between one heartbeat and the next. Davies, Thompson, get her into the carrier. Move! They lift her like she is made of glass. Elise weighs almost nothing. Fear and hunger have hollowed her out. But the baby is heavy with life. Rusty keeps his body between her and the rifles while his lads settle her on ammunition boxes in the back of the carrier. Private Davies drapes his greatcoat over her shaking shoulders. The crowd surges forward again, ugly now, shouting, "Traitor! Murderer!" Henry raises his rifle. Rusty raises the Sten, and for one terrible second the lane holds its breath. Then a new voice, calm, educated, German-accented English cuts through everything. Lower your weapons. I surrender myself if the girl and child are spared. Every head turns. Walking down the lane under a white handkerchief tied to a stick comes Oberarzt Dr. Lucas Weber, 30, tall, blond, still in his blood-stained medical tunic, hands raised high. The father. The crowd roars like a single animal. Henry swings his rifle toward Lucas. Rusty steps into the arc. I said, lower them. The Bren gun on the carrier traverses with a mechanical growl. Captain Edward Langley arrives at that exact moment, jeep slewing to a halt, pistol already in hand. He takes in the scene in one sweeping glance. Pregnant girl bleeding in British vehicle, German officers surrendering, mob ready to tear them all apart. Sergeant Brennan, report. Rusty never takes his eyes off Henry. Local justice about to execute a civilian, sir. Requests permission to evacuate her to medical. Langley's face is stone. He knows the orders. Do not interfere with French internal affairs. He also knows what he's looking at. A girl having a baby in a war zone. He makes his choice. Permission granted. Get her out of here. I'll handle the diplomacy. Rusty salutes with 2 fingers, already climbing aboard. Drive, Taffy. The carrier lurches backward, engine roaring. Henry fires one wild shot that sparks off the armor. Then they are moving, Elise screaming with each bump, Lucas running alongside until Rusty hauls him aboard too. Behind them, Captain Langley stands alone in the lane, facing 60 furious Frenchmen with nothing but a Webley and the authority of a uniform. The last thing Rusty sees is the captain raising both hands, voice carrying. The war is over. Let it be over. They tear through the bocage at 40 miles an hour, hedges flashing past like green blurs. Elise is on her back across the ammunition boxes, knees drawn up, face white as candle wax. Lucas kneels beside her, holding her hand, whispering in rapid German, Atme, Liebling, Atme with me. Rusty braces himself against the Bren mount, trying to keep the ride steady, while Private Davies steers like a madman. Another contraction hits. Elise screams so hard her voice breaks. Lucas looks up at Rusty, eyes wild. The baby is coming now. We need to stop. Rusty glances at the darkening lanes. Snipers still prowl these hedges. We stop, we die. Keep her breathing. Davies shouts over the engine. Field hospital is 8 miles, Sarge. 8 miles might as well be the moon. Elise bears down again, a sound like tearing cloth. Lucas rips off his tunic, rolls it into a pillow. I can deliver. I have done it 100 times. But I need light, water, towels. Rusty pulls the battle lantern from its bracket, shoves it at Lucas. You've got what you got, Doc. The carrier hits a pothole. Elise screams again, and suddenly there is a new voice, thin, furious, alive.
The baby slides into Lucas's waiting hands, slick with blood and wonder. A girl. Rusty stares, stunned. The tiniest fist punches the air as if already angry at the world she has been born into. Lucas wraps her in his tunic, places her on Elise's chest. Mother and child stare at each other in the swaying lantern light while the carrier roars through the night. Elise's first coherent words are not French, not German, but a whisper in broken English aimed at Rusty. "Thank you for not letting them kill us." Rusty finds he cannot speak. He simply reaches out and covers mother and daughter with his greatcoat, the same one Davies gave her earlier. Behind them, tracer rounds stitch the sky where snipers try their luck. None find their mark. Ahead, the field hospital lights glow like a promise someone almost kept. Lucas looks at the British soldiers who just saved his child and says, voice cracking, "I surrendered to the wrong army first." Rusty meets his eyes. Tonight there's only one army mate, the one keeping that little girl breathing. The hospital is a converted chateau, lanterns swinging, orderlies running. They carry Élise inside on a stretcher, while Lucas walks beside her, holding the bundled baby like it is made of glass. Rusty follows, suddenly aware his hands are shaking. A nursing sister takes one look and starts issuing orders in crisp English that somehow calms the chaos. "Delivery room 2, hot water, blankets, get Major Pierce." They disappear behind canvas flaps. Rusty stands in the corridor, dripping sweat and Normandy dust, staring at his blood-smeared palms. Captain Langley arrives 20 minutes later, face like thunder. "Sergeant, you just started a diplomatic incident that will reach SHAEF by breakfast." Rusty salutes wearily. "Permission to speak freely, sir." Langley waves a hand. "You're already in it up to your neck." "Good, because I'd do it again. She was having a baby in a ditch while they argued who got to shoot her first." Langley studies him for a long moment, then sighs. "Get cleaned up. I'll deal with the paperwork." From Rusty Brennan's diary, 10th August 1944, "I keep seeing her face when we put her in the carrier. 19 years old and more terrified of her own people than the Germans ever made her. The baby cried like a kitten, and I thought, this is what we fought for. Not flags. Not even France. Just so some little scrap of life gets to take its first breath without a bullet in it. If that cost me my stripes, fair enough." From Élise Moreau's letter written years later, "I remember the red-haired sergeant who stood over me like an avenging angel. I remember the German doctor who caught our daughter with hands that had only ever healed. I remember British soldiers who should have hated us both and instead gave us tomorrow. That night, I learned the difference between liberation and mercy. Liberation takes the land. Mercy takes the child." 1974. The same village square, now peaceful, plane trees casting dappled shade where the gallows sign once hung. A small plaque has been set into the war memorial. "To Élise Moreau and her daughter Marie, protected by soldiers of the 43rd Wessex Division, 9th August 1944. We remember mercy." Rusty Brennan, now 59, grey at the temples but still broad as a docker, stands beside a dark-haired woman in her 30s, holding the hands of 2 small children. Marie Weber, the baby born in the Bren carrier, now a schoolteacher in Caen. Lucas Weber, frail but upright, wears his old tunic with the Red Cross armband proudly. Captain Langley, retired colonel, pins a tiny medal on Marie's blouse, the French Croix de Guerre with Silver Star awarded quietly in 1958, but never presented until today. The village mayor, Henri's son, makes a speech about forgiveness that costs him nothing now, but would have cost his father everything then. Old women who once spat now dab their eyes with handkerchiefs. When it is Rusty's turn to speak, he keeps it short. "We didn't save a collaborator. We saved a mum and her baby. Turns out, that's the easiest decision I ever made." Marie steps forward, kisses the weathered cheek of the man who shielded her mother with his body. "You gave me my first birthday present," she says, voice steady. "You gave me my first day." Cameras click.
Children who have never known war chase pigeons around the memorial. That night in the village cafe, they drink Calvados together. British veterans, French villagers, one quiet German doctor, and the girl who was born in the middle of a war and somehow ended it for them all. Lucas raises his glass last, to the soldiers who remembered we were human even when we forgot it ourselves. Rusty grins, eyes wet, to little Marie, who made honesty the only option. Some wars end with treaties. Some end when 10 ordinary lads in a lane decide a pregnant girl deserves tomorrow more than yesterday deserves revenge. Share this story if you believe mercy is still the bravest act of war. Thank you for watching Ghost Unit Archives.